What's up, guys? So I'm out here shooting a video with the C8, basically just kind of giving it a little bit of rub and criticism. But while I was out here, I've got the C8, I've got the scenery, so I decided to talk to you guys about taking a little bit better photos of your car with your cell phone. A lot of guys take pictures of their cars. I have an Instagram, Night Drive TV. Also do the Night Drive TV headlight kit, and I have a few more headlight kits coming. So a lot of people send me pictures. Some are great, some could use improvement. So I figured this video could really be good to show you guys how to take better pictures of your cars. So stick around, you're watching Night Drive TV. I always wanted to build fast cars, so self-taught I started with engine swaps, composites in my apartment, to multiple shops, tuning, fabrication, and more. 10 years later, the big times: SEMA, Speed TV, a climb from nothing, but I lost it all. This is my new ride, Night Drive TV.
Night drivers and drivettes.
Okay, so I have my screen set on record. I'm going to show you what my screen sees, as you can see here. And I'm going to go ahead and take a picture of the car like I would typically see, I think. And then what I'm going to talk about why I would improve it. All right, so you have the rock, and I can see somebody would take a picture just like this. So taking a quick look at this photo, it's not a bad photo. Obviously, cell phone cameras have gotten amazing, but you have the car, you have the rock, objective complete. But basically, you're kind of cramming everything into the photo. So what I want to talk to you about is something real basic you may have heard of before, and it's thirds. I'm going to look at the screen here so I can kind of show it to you. But imagine a line here, a line here, line here, and here. So thirds. This section, this section, this section, this section, this section, this section. So divide the camera in that all the time. Some cameras actually have that option. You can put those grid lines on the screen, and that helps you do what I'm about to show you. So I'm going to retake the photo, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the car on the lower third, and then we're going to kind of look up at it. You're going to see how that last photo is going to get a lot more powerful. So we're going to go back on the phone. We're still recording, hopefully, and I'm going to take it with the car at the lower third. So now you can see that photo on the screen, and as you can see, just putting the car on that lower third and kind of taking up the space of the photo. Don't shoot with everything in the middle. Put it down on the third, up on a third, left, right on a third, anything. As you can see me recording right now, I am on this third, and the car is on this third. And you can see my head is on this third, and the car is on this third. So you can see I'm always kind of framing around that. And so that's what we're gonna do with the photo. So the rock and the rocks behind it, they have no depth. Cameras really struggle with depth. And so we can't tell where the car is relative to the rock, relative to the rocks behind it. And so you want to kind of try to divide that. So the easiest way to do that is kind of walk around and frame it with your eye until you kind of start to see things in terms of perspective distances. And let me show you how I'm going to do that. So I'm just taking the camera off the tripod here that I'm recording with, and let me kind of show you how, as I turn in this perspective, things start to come alive. Now we see the car has a little bit of angle, distance. We could start to figure out this photo a little bit more. So let me go ahead and take a photo from this perspective, and I'm going to keep the car on the lower third, but then you can notice I have an opportunity to kind of keep the rock on the upper. So let me show you. Nice Huracan. Okay, so we got a Huracan pulling up over here. People watch me, but what's up, buddy? So we're starting to lay out a path to where you're starting to be able to figure out what's in the photo and where. The only issue is now, as I can still see looking into photo, the rock that I kind of want to focus on, and like I said, put a plane in place, put a fountain. You may not have anything behind it, but if you do, you don't want things cluttering up your photos. You don't want things to look like it's on top of the car, next to the car. So again, I'm going to keep skewing that perspective or moving the object that I want to photo to basically start to grab that. So what I want you to do is start to look around and think of the thirds. In this in particular, I have the car on one third and I have a rock on the upper third. But now what I want to really start to do is separate the rock and the car and try to see a pathway through the two to really put them both in the photo, and they can kind of complement each other. So I'm going to do that now. All right, so I'm going to position myself here, and you can see that I put the car in the lower right third and the rock on the upper left third, and that creates some separation and some depth, some distance. So looking at the photo here, I blocked the bench that was behind there, and we have a little bit of an issue with the garbage can, but that's something we can fix in kind of a post sense. So in review, this was the initial photo that we took, and as you can see, the car is just dead center, and this is a common thing that people who don't take a lot of photos do. They put everything they want to take a picture of dead center. You can see it's an okay photo because the camera takes a good photo, but just a slight change that we made, putting the car down a little bit, filling the photo up a little bit more, and I took a few variations of this. So this is one in particular, then I backed up a bit. You can see that just filling the screen gives you a bit better photo, but we can improve upon it even further, and that's what we did. So we changed positions. We start to get a little perspective on the car. We start to, go on a journey through the photo. You can see some pathways. You can start to detect some depth and some character to the photo. You can see the cars in front of the rock, and the rock seemingly seems in front of the mountain behind it. But again, there's more you can do. So we repositioned the car, and with repositioning the car, getting the rock in the frame, you could start to see a pathway down between the two. I took a few variations of this one as well. And so, the idea here and the principle is put everything on the thirds like we discussed, and try and split your focal points so that people can have two things to look at that you're interested in versus stacking them. Obviously, when shooting a car, some cars have good angles, some cars have bad. The C8's got a few bad ones. I ain't gonna talk about that. But anyway, the front view of a C8, in my opinion, is pretty bold, pretty strong. So obviously we've got some DRLs. I'm gonna try and get those to go on. And I'm gonna apply kind of what we talked about earlier, putting things on thirds. I'm gonna put the car on a lower third. I'm gonna try and capture that upper area, and then I'm going to shoot the sky. And one big trick here when you shoot from a frontal or something from a distance is you can, instead of shooting this way, you can shoot this way. So sometimes that will give you a shot, and I'll show you a few of those on screen, and we'll just kind of experiment with it and see how it looks. Okay, so that first photo is the mistake. That's not what you want to do. Okay, so now what I want to talk about is on this phone, you can see it has a lot of different lenses. So these lenses, they give you different perspectives in different widths. But as you can see, there's some distortion. It's kind of giving the car kind of a rounded perspective. So I'm going to go through those on the screen recording, kind of show you how they change perspective. So if you have a phone with multiple lenses, sometimes you want to adjust your body position to the lens to get the proper lens that you want to use to avoid distortions, things like that. So let me show you that now. Okay, so you can see the 3x lens on the screen is taking away a lot of distortion, but I'm having to move back quite a bit. So I'm going to do that now and show you the outcome. So as you can see, there's quite a few quirks and things that you can work around using the camera to its strengths and to its weaknesses. Moving your body position really helps, and then putting the focal points in different areas really gives you a lot of depth and makes it a much stronger photo. All right, so this was the initial photo, obviously all centered. That's not what you want. We corrected it, put the car on the lower third with a bit of mountain on the upper third. It was better. And then here we turned the camera, but with the different types of lenses, we're getting some distortion, and that's not what we want. So basically, after making a change, we now have this photo that you see here, which is better framed. The car isn't distorted, and it's not bad. It's not ideal because of the positioning, but it's as good as I could get. And that's a scenario you may find yourself in with just putting your car somewhere and having to work with what you have. You want to see some of this, but sometimes you want the car to really be the focus. So it's kind of a split thing as to what you really get to see in the image that's capturing your eye. Using those third principles, let me show you a few detail shots and things like that that will make the car look and pop off the screen. Watch. All right, so I have a couple photos here, but this first photo, you can see sometimes not capturing the entire car, but here I'm kind of focused on the headlight,
the outer grills. You can see the intake down the side. I took a quick photo. It's really focusing on particular parts of the car that kind of aesthetically I want to capture. And so here I just kind of went on an angle, and the reason I did that is because the mountain was right behind the car, and I did like that upright shot that I showed earlier, but this kind of also starts to give you that pathway, and I'm not capturing the whole car. I'm making the car a bold perspective down on the lower left-hand third and kind of putting that pathway of the mountain off to the right-hand side and upper right-hand third. So that's the kind of idea behind that photo. Then we take a final photo here to where I'm just kind of standing back and I'm really focusing on trying to capture, again, the car on the lower right and the peaks of those mountains on the upper left third. And then really showing a pathway of the photo. You could see that there's depth between the car, the mountain. You could see that pathway going off to the right. And then some post-cropping will really refine this photo. So sometimes your framing when you take the shot isn't as critical 100% because you can, in post, you can start to refine it even further with editing, color grading, and cropping the photo, which I'll show ahead.
So the last thing I'm going to talk about here real quick is like pathways. So if you have a pathway, a road, a corridor, a side of the road, and you park the car on it, you can use some methods to take photos that are stronger and present better on screen. And again, the perspective, the horizontal versus landscape, I think that's what it is. Can't think off the top of my head, but basically this way or this way with the camera, and you can get a few different perspectives. Let me show you that real quick. I got people staring at me. So even something this far away, as you can see, we have a little bit of clutter, but you could get a pretty good photo when you have something very grand. I'm going to kind of adjust the camera here. See, you can put that car on a lower third and then put that peak up on the upper right-hand side of the screen. You can see that's still a pretty good photo. And even though it's in the distance, you know, it can really give a sense of grandness. So if you're trying to show someone, you know, how amazing and epic it is, when you have large objects in the background, a lot of times a distance shot will serve you even better. I'm going to change it up. And so instead of getting low, I'm going to try and put the camera and my body real high. And I'm going to see if I can connect that pathway to the mountain, put this car on the lower third and the mountains up on the upper third, and see if we can connect them with the pathway.
So sometimes lens distortion can help you in the photo. And here I'm just trying to position myself to get that sign out of view. And you can see this photo here with some distortion actually adds quite a perspective to the photo. So next I'm going to reposition the camera. We're going to kind of go into landscape mode, I guess you could say. And you can see I'm positioning my body, moving around. I don't mind the sign now because the sign's kind of adding a little something to the photo, but I'm gathering the entire background, all the mountain peaks, and filling the photo up.
So using the camera in both perspectives, you can see, and actually, you know, as I talked about before, some of that barrel distortion you'll find in certain photos will add kind of a real dynamic appearance to the image. And I know, you know, I shot wedding videos many years ago. I had a wedding videography and cinematography company. So
they have a wall-sized TV, and your head's going to be really big.
I'm right here. I'm in your living room right now.
And photography as well. We tried to package it. And so I would often tell the guys that worked for me, I said, listen, what people want to see is what their naked eye can't see. Show them something that I can't see standing right here. Show me something from the sky. Show me something from the ground. Show me something up close, because nobody's going to look at the bride that close. Let me look at your face. So I would put the camera though, or use the lens to get that image, that real intimate image, or that image that's very unnatural. And anytime you can create something that the eye can't just see from me standing here, it will create a good photo. And in that circumstance, they created a good photo. Okay, so now this is the road actually going down to the bathrooms or something. It's getting low in the day, so there's not many people in the park. So I just decided to get into the middle of the road here and kind of show you. This is a more defined pathway. There's more contrast. And so you're going to see how sometimes I will use a little bit of angle to put the car on the lower third and let that pathway lead you to the upper third. So it's leading your eye across the image, and that's making for a more powerful photo essentially. So check this out.
So now if you're learning anything from this video, you're seeing kind of another approach, but I've got a nice contrasting road. I'm going to move positions, and you can see I'm letting the photo kind of tell me a story, give me something to look at besides just the car. And we're going to do a little post editing and really liven these up.
So here, I feel like I have a potential shot. I'm going to do a little bit of a rear 3/4 view. Going to try and catch the car on the right angle and then work with some other perspectives. But again, I'm always kind of thinking in this type of pattern. You know, when you want to shoot things, think on diagonals, think what can I put here and there, what can I put here and there, what can I put here and there, and you know, just try and lead people into other parts of the photo. So that's what I'm gonna try to do here. Let's take out the phone and see if I can grab something.
All right, so just quickly, I'm going to take a low shot, then I'm going to go up high, create some separation, and just kind of look around. Try and take as many shots as you can. Here, I just kind of see the badge. I'm like, well, I'll get up there. I tilt it to eliminate the plate. Don't love the shot, but I touch the screen to focus on Corvette. Don't love it, though. I'm going to move somewhere else. Now, partial car shot there. And here, this is more of a scene view. I'm up on the hill, kind of try and get up there, take a few, and then we'll go into edit. So here I've pulled up Adobe Lightroom, and I use the Adobe suite editing my videos and things. We're going to go ahead and install this. Okay, now that we have that downloaded, we're going to go ahead and hit open. And this is what you should expect to see. Gives you some basic kind of highlights here. Now see, it is asking for an Adobe account. You can sign up. I'm going to go ahead and sign into my existing account. I've created a folder here. Let me back up so you can kind of see. This is kind of how it opens. You can create an album. All right, so we're going to add down here on the lower right, we're going to hit that plus sign and we're going to add some photos. We're going to select all the photos that we took here out in the Valley of Fire. And we do have some red rocks I'm going to show you here momentarily. Looks like it takes a moment or two. All right, so let's go ahead and go to one of the first photos that we took. This one here. Now it's suggesting start with a preset. As you can see, there are some presets that I guess it gives you that will kind of quickly just get you where you need to be if you tap here. And so here you can see a number of options: auto, retro, style, cinematic, and we can play with some of these. Close out of that. We don't want to do that. So let's just do some basic things. So we have obviously some options here. Exposure, which I think is pretty good. We can drag these highlights and you can see these changes here and there on the photo. Brighten up. Our blacks will get blacker. We'll lose some detail on the wheels there with blacks. We're going to add a little contrast. People tend to go too heavy on contrast, so you know, just don't allow yourself to get out of hand. Now vibrance, we're going to add a little bit of vibrance, just not much. You don't want to overdo it to where it starts to look just too fake. A little saturation can go a long way, but again, you know, I think our blacks, the shadows can be a little deep. We'll lose a little bit of the wheel there, so I'm going to back that off a little bit. And then you see that trash can. Now Lightroom has always been very good about having some pretty handy tools. If I can click off of this, and I'm going to show you. So this is we have a healing brush, and this is a clone tool. It should be. Let's see if we can. Yeah, you see that's basically trying to find a spot adjacent to it that can easily extract it. And if you like that, then you can just kind of go with it. Let's kind of check that. And you can see that pole's pretty gone. So we'll do that brush again. We'll kind of use this one here. And you'll see it kind of just works adjacent. And I mean, you can still kind of tell it was there, but you can see with just some very quick and basic, if you post this on Instagram, certain places, you're not going to pick up on these small things. And so that's just one example there. Obviously, you can share it direct or save to the device. We'll go ahead and save that. That exports to an album. So let's go ahead and take a look at this frontal view. Obviously, it's suggesting I share the edit. I'm going to go ahead and just do some basic, add some contrast. Our highlights are good. Shadows we're going to bring down. Whites I kind of pump up. Blacks I bring down. It's kind of a pattern. I'm going to bring in a little vibrance, and then we're going to pump up the saturation just a wee. Those red rocks versus that yellow car can be something, but you can see we don't want the car to leave its yellow highlighter state. And so we can move just a little bit. See a little green. That kind of balances it out. Adding a little bit of violet kind of balance that out. That looks good. Our crop is good. I'm not going to mess with that. We don't have anything really to remove. And I think that one is good to go. I don't know what happened here. I'm going to save that to device. And one that I was interested in taking a look at is this one. I had talked about doing a post edit crop, and just to kind of get things, and you can immediately see in the cropping, it's offering me the thirds, and it's showing me the proportions of kind of how I may want things to look. And you can just kind of see that car is on that lower third. And let's see, we'll do that. So we've kind of cropped that image. I believe that cropped it. Yes, we cropped it a bit. Maybe we want to bring just a little bit. My finger is having a little bit of an issue. I think that looks good there. And then we're going to kind of go ahead, a little bit of contrast, and you can kind of feel it out. Now, as you contrast, you're going to lose some of the things that have very subtle contrast. You can see how much I can see the wheels in the subtle black areas, but as we darken that and contrast it, it's going to really start to lose some of that detail. So you want to keep that balanced. The highlights are going to be in the areas, just picking up some extra light, and then your shadows, again, you go low, you're going to start to take away some of that wheel detail. So, I mean, you want the car to still look like a car. Whites, blacks, nothing really needed there in this particular photo. Again, little vibrance, little saturation goes a long way. We have nothing to fix per se, so we're just going to go ahead and save this. And then I'm going to grab one from, well, let's go ahead. Do we like that one? I mean, this is a good photo. I do enjoy this photo. I'm not going to crop it, really change it at all. It looks very fast because it was barrel distorted. Got a little bit of that, well, not barrel distortion. Barrel distortion has, excuse me saying that. It's a lens distortion in the sense that it's a bit of a fisheye. So let's go ahead and pump up the contrast to really what it looked like. Now, if your camera, a lot of times cameras are shooting flat or they're not adding a lot of contrast. A GoPro camera, that can add a lot of contrast as it records. You can select these different profiles from cameras to have them record and save the file in a flat manner to where it's not adding much color or anything like that. That's sometimes something you want to do. Add a little saturation here, if my finger will work. Maybe a little too much there. And again, this is something you need to calm yourself, because you can go way overboard. As you see, I've seen people do, this crazy stuff. And I mean, it can be cool if you want to create an extreme photo, obviously for a thumbnail or something like that. And doing stuff like this can go a long way to really, creating something captivating that's just very abnormal. And there's a place for these things. And so we're just kind of playing with it here. But I mean, you could just do a lot of things these days with these types of applications. You can see the effect the shadows have. So we'll leave one that's extreme. Why not? Obviously, it's not realistic. People are going, oh man, where was that? I want to go there. It doesn't look like that, but we made it look like that. So I hope this gets you a bit of a better feel to how easy it is to use your cell phone these days to really create some good content and something that you can really just post online. How easy it is to remove some subtle things that can really make the image cluttered. And you see that it can be very easy to mend in a lot of these programs. I liked a lot of these that I took out in Red Rock. I'm trying to pick, I think I like this one. And the reason I like this one is if you look at how the light catches the lines on the hood, I really like this. But the mountains and things are just very kind of subtle. It was a bit blown out. It was bright. And so you can see that with the exposure, sometimes you can bring out a bit more color by reducing that exposure. And then we can bring up the highlights. and the shadows can kind of go opposite. That will start to create a lot of texture. And then we're going to go here. We're just going to add a little vibrance, a little saturation. And you could do a lot more here with masks. And there's a lot of techniques, even changing the sky. There's a lot of things I can show you. If you're interested in that, let me know in a comment below, and I will do more advanced videos with SLRs. This was just very basic. So if you've made it this far, I appreciate it. Throw a like on this video, leave me a comment. Hopefully it helps you take better photos and things in the future. And that being said, let's go ahead and, oh, Lightroom. Well, yes, thank you. Wonderful, wonderful. So we submitted a review. Now let's see. Hopefully these are easy to find in the phone, because we're saving them externally. They're in this. Obviously, you can see they're saved as we've edited them. But in order to have them on the phone, we have to export them. So I'm going to go out into my gallery. It is not saved. It has created its own folder, as you can see here. And so let's take a look at these photos. Great one. Went super extreme. May have to use that for the thumbnail. That's a good one. Just some subtle enhancements here. Not sure that, yeah, that crop held. This one, good and simple, not my favorite. And then this was one of our early ones, and we've got that small repair on the left, which if you didn't know it was there, you wouldn't pick up on it. So that's about it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will catch you on the next one.